Welcome to another episode of the Movie Brothas. I'm Ant. This is Kev. Bond is back.
In a big way.
Yes, he is. Today we're reviewing the film Spectre for you. Kev, did I say that right?
Yes, you did. It is Spectre. It is not Spectre. It's not Spectre. It is Spectre. Good job.
Thank you, Professor. This film is rated PG-13, has a runtime of 2 hours and 28 minutes. It's an action thriller. In this latest installment of Bond, connection to Bond's past sends him on the hunt to expose the leader of a criminal organization.
This film was directed by the great Sam Mendes, who brought us Skyfall, which I felt like was one of the better films in the entire series, not just in the Daniel Craig series of films. This film stars Daniel Craig, Christoph Waltz, Lea Seydoux, Ralph Fiennes, Naomi Harris, Dave Bautista, and Ben Whishaw. You want to jump into it, man?
Take it away.
All right. Daniel Craig's tenure as Bond is filled with highs and lows. I mean, the highs are very high. Well, I'm talking about Casino Royale. I'm talking about Skyfall. The lows, while not horrible, they're just kind of barely watchable. I mean, you'll put it in, you'll watch it, and there are certain thrills that you'll get, but it's not going to stick with you. It's not going to stay on your mind. Craig he does what he does. He's made the character and the role entirely his own, and but still, this film just kind of falls into the middle ground for me.
Yeah, Kev, I can partially agree with you on that. You know, the only thing I take exception to is you putting Skyfall at the top, because I actually put that at the bottom. It's one of the one of the worst Craig installments that I've seen. Now, Casino Royale, absolutely, it's up there. And what I do agree with is, I mean, Spectre is kind of right there in the middle. That's where it's fallen for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, Craig is coming to his own as Bond. He's made the character all his own. He has all the mannerisms. He's got the swagger. He's got everything that the character's supposed to have. He's suave and debonair when necessary. He's totally lethal when necessary. And he has no problem with jumping into bed with a beautiful woman whenever necessary.
It wouldn't be Bond if he wasn't.
It wouldn't be Bond if he did, if he had a problem with that.
That's right.
Okay. He has definitely cemented his standing in Bond lore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And even beyond Craig, man, everybody in the cast does a solid job.
Right.
I really love that piece. I mean, you mentioned Naomi Harris. She's Money Penny. I mean, everybody's dope.
Yeah.
So totally feeling that. My problem comes into play with this film, and it's really same issue I had with Skyfall, just not as bad. It's just the Bond brand, the Bond commercial. Like, I hated Skyfall so much because I felt like it was one big commercial. I didn't feel like there was a story there. And while this film, Spectre, is nowhere near as bad as that, there's still at times where it's like the focus is on Bond's suit versus what's happening in this scene, right? I'm talking about like the camera angles and shots and things like that. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I have no problems with product placement. It's been going on since the beginning of time. It ain't gonna change.
And you see me always complaining about product
when
placement.
It's done bad, I'm gonna complain about it.
Okay.
I wear logos on this show, right? You see me wearing a Nike shirt or whatever. I have no problem with the gear and all that. I love gear, right? But when it's done in a way where it takes, it's at the forefront and is kind of like overshadowing the story, is when I start having issue and I get a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. To a certain degree, I can understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't really bother me at all. Bond has always been a commercial. Okay. We tune in to see what he's wearing. We tune in to see what kind of cars he's driving. There was a big stir when in GoldenEye they went from the Aston Martin to the BMW for the very first time. So he rocked BMW for a few films.
The BMW in this film, I'm sorry, it's dope.
It's not a BMW though.
It's not. What is it?
No, he went back to Aston Martin.
Oh, that's an Aston Martin.
Yes, it's an Aston Martin.
I stand corrected.
And
whatever it is,
incredible.
Oh, it's a beautiful piece of machinery.
Yes. So all that, we say all that to say that it's not that big a problem, or at least I say that it's not that big a problem for me. I don't think you guys will be all that blown away by it either. The film starts off with the usual bang that all Bond films start off with, and this one was great. The scenes in Mexico City were awesome. The Day of the Dead, celebration that was going on. I mean, that was a perfect backdrop for any Bond film. I mean, it was awesome. Mendes he doesn't mail this movie in, although you get the impression that he's under a lot of pressure to fit everything into it. This film tries to basically weave a tapestry that combines everything that has happened from Casino Royale to the present into one big narrative, to say that our villain was responsible for all of that. Okay, so he's got a lot of work to do, and you can tell that there's a little bit of pressure to fit everything in, and sometimes he is successful in doing that, other times not quite as much.
Yeah. Yeah, love the opening scene. It's definitely fresh, like you said, Mexico City. Now, Sam Smith does the opening credits song, and it's one of the worst that I've probably heard in all the Bond films.
What's it called? The Writings on the Wall?
I don't know what it's called, but what it needs to be called bad. But that kind of sucked and kind of threw me off of coming off the high.
It almost takes you out of the film.
It does take you out, man. It doesn't fit. But overall, this film is good. Make no mistake about that. It's not great, but it is good. And I think, well, first of all, I'll tell you, I enjoyed it, and I think you would enjoy it as well. It's just, it's not consistent throughout, right? The film's kind of long. It's almost 2.5 hours, and that's a long time to, stay on that high.
Right.
So when the lulls hit, they hit kind of bad for me, and it's just kind of like, oh, what do we do here? We don't have anything else to do. Have Bond sleep with this chick. Okay. Right now, yeah, he wouldn't be Bond if he's not going to sleep with women.
He's definitely not out of character.
But it's not smooth. It's not as smooth as what I grew up with and what I'm used to seeing. I'm the '80s kid, so Roger Moore was my Bond. But that's what I'm used to seeing. But yeah,
and it usually takes a little bit of extra work, to make it happen. In this movie, he just kind of
he just shows up
gets up on top of a woman.
He comes there just like
boom,
hey, it's just like a tip of the hat. And it's on. It's like, dude,
that's it. That's all it takes.
That's my only point. Kev, the social media buzz. I gotta throw this out here. We're talking about Bond. Idris Elba, man. You hear the buzz on social media. We want Idris Elba to play James Bond and whatnot. I gotta get your thoughts on this. You ask me. I mean, I think he absolutely could do it. I mean, his character, his persona embodies, James Bond. I think he definitely could do it. What do you think, man?
I mean, there's no question in my mind that Idris Elba could play this role. Whether or not I think he should play it or is a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
I really would rather see Idris Elba take off in another role, maybe even associated with James Bond.
Okay.
There are a couple of times where 009 is mentioned in this film.
Yeah.
This car was earmarked for 009. These weapons were earmarked for 009, but we never see who 009 actually is. Okay. Having Idris Elba step in as 009 and perhaps even be a foil to James Bond or a competitive situation with James Bond, that would be interesting. I'd like to see that.
I could deal with that.
I'd like to see Idris pretty much create a new character in the Bond mythology rather than try to take over as Bond and have all that pressure coming down on top of his head.
Yeah, I'll take that. So let's go ahead and throw some points on this thing. Like I said a moment ago, this film is good. Not great, but definitely good. I think you will enjoy it. Fellas, if you're lacking a little bit of swag, definitely go check this out. You could probably get yourself some to figure out how to G up and do the whole deal. But all in all, I give this film a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
This film doesn't quite measure up to the greatest Bond films as far as I was concerned. It has a lot of lofty ideals and things that it wants to accomplish in this film. It takes you all the way back to movies like You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We question whether or not is this Daniel Craig's last Bond film? Is this Sam Mendes' last Bond film? It leaves it on an open end like that to where it could be. So we have no idea. Is this the woman that Bond marries in the way that he does on Your Majesty's Secret Service? But we really don't know. And the question about whether or not, and I really didn't understand the secrecy behind whether or not Christoph Waltz was playing Blofeld or not. Okay, that was really kind of blown out of proportion to me. I felt like it's Spectre. Blofeld runs Spectre, so that's who he's supposed to be. But when it was revealed that that's who he is, it really didn't bother me at all. I felt like this movie was pretty good, not great. It definitely has a place in the Bond mythos. I give it a 7 out of 10.
All right. That's our show. Be sure to check out our website, themoviebrothas.com.
Or you can follow us on Twitter at The Movie Brothers.
Yep. And subscribe to this channel. We very much appreciate it, and spread the word, okay? Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ant. This is Kev. We are the Movie Brothers. This is the place, the one and only place where we bring you nothing but the real on the real. Peace.